This is part of a movie made in 1933. It showed how the beginnings of the California Packing Corporation were rooted deep in the history of California itself. It's an appropriate beginning to this review of 50 years of Calpak history.
It is more than the history of a business, this story of the building of Del Monte. Its name is descended from the romantic era of Spanish California. Its beginnings were laid in the days of gold. Beside the blue Pacific, on the western fringe of our continent, lies a land of almost legendary abundance, California, a land of curving shore and rugged promontory, a land of flower-decked hills and smiling valleys, of golden sunshine and deep, fertile soils. Into this favored country, a century and a half ago, came the missionaries from Spain, bringing with them not only a burning zeal to spread the faith, but a rich store of horticultural knowledge. They set out gardens and tiny orchards, filled with plants and trees laboriously brought from distant Spain. As the years rolled on, more missions rose against those sunny hillsides. Carmel they built in the shadow of Kings Mountain, close by a spot they called Del Monte. It is this Del Monte that has furnished a name typifying the romance of a past that is ever present in the business of today. There followed years of peace in this pleasant land. A gracious, leisurely civilization took root and flourished. Then suddenly, in the spring of '49, across this peaceful scene, there burst from the Sierras a thrilling cry. Gold! With magic wings, the word spread eastward to a nation still teeming with the pioneering spirit. Huge caravans, hastily organized, set out on that mad quest that was to make history and create a new nation. Between them and their distant goal stretched untold miles of trackless wilderness. Before them lay months of weary journey, beset by hardships, which might well have daunted men of lesser breed. Great rivers, unmapped, unbridged, flung barriers of turbulent water across their pathway. Sheer canyon walls challenged their passage, delaying them through precious days and weeks, but never stopping them, never daunting the matchless courage of those pioneers. Finally, the golden land of promise, the El Dorado of their dreams. Towns sprang into being overnight, filled with turbulent throngs of gold seekers. Gold was king. Today, little remains to tell us of those stirring times. Only a few half-forgotten mining camps, their straggling buildings crumbling slowly into ruin. Yet out of that dauntless spirit of '49 emerged a group of sober-minded men and women who, when the glittering tide of gold had ebbed, turned their faces toward the fair valleys below and the more lasting wealth which lay waiting there for the touch of man to bring it into being.
This was how the California canning industry was born, as seen through the eyes of Calpak cameramen many years ago. We filmed out of the spirit of '49 to set a mood, to convey a feeling, to recall an ideal. Now, as we turn the corner of 50, this mood, feeling, ideal is still with us. In the time of a golden anniversary, this spirit remains a lively one. "50-year-old companies are sort of like people. They tend to reminisce. So let's go back before the days of the talkies, back to an old flicker that came on the scene about the same year as Calpak. In the style of its day, the old film tells its story as a melodrama. Among its stirring scenes are the first films ever made of harvesting asparagus with real horsepower. A California peach cannery more than 50 years ago. A marriage is blessed with issue. Here are some of the rarest scenes on film, and they're part of the Calpak story too. For these rugged old sailing ships were the famous fleet of the Alaska Packers Association, pioneer canners of Del Monte salmon. They took on board everything they needed for putting up the salmon pack during the brief Alaskan summer. Money for the payroll, much of the machinery, the men, and the food to feed them, including pigs. Casting off from San Francisco, out they went through the Golden Gate, north to Alaska. When summer ended and the Arctic winds grew colder, back they'd come with the season's pack in their holds. They were part of an era that was centuries old. They were the last commercial sailing fleet to fly the American flag, sturdy square riggers that brought the era to a graceful close. on the shores of the Bering Sea itself, the bleak canneries waited. Not until the sailing ships arrived could a wheel be turned. This was the Alaska of many years ago. But Calpak cameramen were on the scene, filming the men who fished for Del Monte salmon from Alaska, many decades ago, even as today. The fishing boats were towed out toward the fishing grounds. The salmon, caught in the net by their gills, were hauled aboard the small boats. Gunnels almost awash under the weight of their catch, the tiny gill netters headed for the lighter, which took their salmon to the cannery. Meanwhile, from the fields and orchards of California came still another Del Monte film, Sunshine Gatherers, released in movie houses all over the country. It showed in almost living color that Del Monte fruits did indeed vie with one another in gathering sunshine. This Garden of Eden today would be surrounded by veritable subdivisions and freeways. But this was when both California and Calpak were very young. And fruit was spread under the sun in acres of drying yards. Fresh-cut asparagus was taken to riverbank wharfs along the Sacramento. Barges hauled it downstream to the canneries. Those were the days when Del Monte fishermen sailed by the dark of the moon out to find the teeming schools of sardines. These rare scenes show a page of Calpak and California history that closed, perhaps forever, when the sardines mysteriously vanished from California's coastal waters. And farther off the coast of California, sometimes as far south as the waters of Mexico and Central America, Calpak fishermen were even then tracking down the tuna. The chummer teased the tuna with sardines as bait. Using a feathered lure with a barbless hook, the fishermen needed muscle. Sometimes you needed 2 or 3 poles attached to one hook to land your tuna. The size of a tuna was measured by the number of poles it took to haul him aboard. Today, powerful machines take the back-breaking labor out of harvesting. Mechanical harvesters move over a Calpak cornfield. Other special machines bring in the pea harvest. Gigantic boom harvesters in Calpak's Hawaiian pineapple fields. So, from fields and orchards all over America come more and more Del Monte products, and all for processing in the most modern of canneries. From out of that spirit, the spirit of '49, we grew. The past is more than a memory. It's a backdrop for today and a prologue for tomorrow. Now in every part of America, producing in lands that border every sea, selling in nations around the world, California Packing Corporation and its Del Monte brand still promising youngsters at 50.